Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of From No Crypto to No Crypto. I'm your host, the Crypto Coach, Blockchain Wayne. Today we're joined by Moe Levin from, Moe is the founder of the North American Bitcoin Conference and now the founder of Wagmi Miami, two great conferences. North American Bitcoin Conference is legendary. Moe, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited about this conversation.
Absolutely, man. I think events are an important part of this industry. It builds community, it builds connection, and it leads to a lot of things being built. People don't realize the connections that happen at these events can lead to great things that are being built by companies, partnerships, garnering
Yep.
investments. So I was excited to have you on today, man, because even before I started attending crypto conferences, I attended my first conference in 2018. But before I started attending, I was following for a while, and I always got FOMO because I missed your events, man. So great to have you on and talk about that, what you've done, and kind of the evolution of where you are now.
Yeah. Yeah, you just touched on something good. The way we call, and my team calls events, is a serendipity machine.
Yeah.
It's great ways for the serendipitous to happen. Really cool things happen because of events, and I've seen that time and time again, is the companies that are created, the people that meet up for a beer at one of the events or meet in
Mhm.
the expo hall, a couple years later we'll be building the coolest things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've learned personally from experience. I wasn't part of an event company, but a few of us decided to put a few events together. Man, there is so much that goes into that you don't realize till you're in the thick of it. Can be very stressful. But you're right. Those events can be serendipitous, and I can think no matter what event I've attended in the past, whether it was a small one, a big one, medium size, I can't think of one conference or event that I went to that I didn't think it wasn't worth my time because small, big, there's always great opportunity to have those
There's
connections
really
that turn
always
into
something. There's
yeah, that
always
turn into
something, and I would
something.
recommend to everybody to go to any event. There's no competitors in this field. It's just go to things, go to any conference and event because you just never know.
Yeah, yeah. You guys have great timing for the Miami one coming up. We'll talk about that. Dive into what's going on with Wagmi. But before we jump into that, Mo, we talked about North American Bitcoin Conference, but want to know more about you. Kind of how did that evolve? Tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into this space where you started organizing events.
Yeah, it's a funny origin story. I mean, everybody that's been around for long enough has a funny origin story. I was living in Austria and working for a procurement supply chain conference company in 2011, 2012. And this was, one of the biggest procurement supply chain conferences in the industry of supply chains. And I was working for them, and they had the CFO of PepsiCo and the CFO of Caterpillar, some, the big names, and it cost a ton to get to these events. And in 2012, I was working at one of these events, and I think it might have been the CFO of Pepsi talking about you can speed up the supply chain payments along the supply chain by using this thing called Bitcoin, but actually it's only used for criminals. And so we shouldn't be paying attention to this because it doesn't really work. And so I just heard that one line while working. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't sound like such a bad idea. I don't know why everybody's dismissing it. So I went online. There was a Bitcoin Talk forum, which is still around today, but all we had then was Bitcoin, and I just posted on it in early 2013 and said, "Listen, guys, I know how to make events. There hasn't really been an event in crypto. I don't know too many people, but I'd love your help. I'm going to make an event." And so, in a comedy club in Amsterdam, in the middle of 2013, we made our first event. At that event, you had, it was such a nascent industry. You had the founders and CEOs that are now the CEOs and founders of, Vitalik's on stage talking about whatever, not Ethereum yet. He was talking about being able to buy things with Bitcoin online. We had this Kraken, we had Eric Voorhees and the Tony Galippi from BitPay. All the big names were there in this tiny comedy club. And then a few months later, Ethereum launched on our stage in Miami. People started coming, hearing about the event, and then it blew up where it was Miami, London, New York, LA, Dubai, the whole world. And it just expanded and expanded because the industry needs events. But how do I say this? What I remember in 2013 when I was posting these things online was some comments from people, I want to put a face to the name, the username. And it's still in this industry where so much is online on Telegram or WhatsApp groups or whatever. Putting a face to a name is something that you don't really have a replacement with. You could take a Zoom call, a Google Meet stuff, sure, but the amount of data that's transferred person to person in person is tremendous, and there's no replacement for that. So these events then took on their own a life of their own, and over the years we've launched so many projects, and I've been lucky enough to work with many of them and help them along the way. So we had the North American Bitcoin Conference, was called the North American Bitcoin Conference because, again, we didn't have anything other than Bitcoin, and I think it was high time for a rebranding. And Wagmi is the brand. It's the optimistic view of we're all going to make it. It stands for we're all going to make it, and I think we all are. And it's positive. And we've seen the benefits and the problems with being in the limelight is as a crypto industry in general. And there's a lot of pessimism, and there's been a lot of infighting, and whatever. Wagmi is in the face of all that. We're going to make it. The industry is going to make it. And, I don't want to date this podcast episode, but, it's an all-time high yesterday of 75,000. That's crazy. We are going to make it, and it's showing no signs of slowing down.
No, and it's really good, and it was a little bit of a gamble, I can tell you. I know from putting on events, every event can be a gamble. Make sure you collect enough sponsorships and enough ticket sales to cover your cost. And because I've been there, but man, I got to give it to you, because holding an event in the U.S., it hasn't really been friendly territory for a little while with crypto. And some of the other events that I've been to, you've seen that fall off or drop off just because most people are hitting other countries. And you took a risk, and it was kind of looking like with the, I don't like to dive much into politics, but it looked like from the presidential election, one candidate who won was actually very much pro-crypto, came out positive for it at the Bitcoin conference earlier this year. And the other one hadn't publicly said anything, but she at least made some statements that could be positive for crypto. But I think the market really responded to the fact that, one of the campaign promises was to remove that thorn in our side called the SEC, in terms of Gary Gensler, who's been persecuting good crypto projects just for, seems like it's just for profit, really. Honestly, that's kind of what I saw. And so the climate is going to quickly change here. And I think now you're poised, you were before, but now even more than ever, you're poised to have a really great event in,
we can't wait for this one, and it is very good timing. There's concepts of the 4-year cyclical nature of Bitcoin and the price, but what's happened globally that we've seen, politics aside, is that when something becomes tricky, it's not even politics. Like, if you want to open a company in a new industry, you want to make it in a place which has the most likelihood of success and less likely that it's going to be shut down, and also places that you can bring a family to, educate your kids in. And so when the United States, or specifically with New York, with the bit license and all that happened, the net result very quickly was Miami won, and LA won, and Texas won.
Yeah.
These are the 3 places which got a boom of everybody in crypto. And then when, on a more macro level, America got a little bit wary of crypto, the Middle East won, the GCC won, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, huge, and then London to a certain extent when they had level 39 and some other businesses. Just naturally, innovators gravitate to the most welcoming place, like anybody would.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The hope and the dream here is we're going to make it everywhere, but America is looking up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when you think about FIO and how we organized, we could have easily set up shop in the U.S., but as you mentioned, you don't want a business to get shut down. You don't want to open a business and think you're following the letter of the law of what's available at the time, and then all of a sudden they say, oh, your business is illegal, or that hasn't really happened, but it's just been SEC sending out Wells notices and then lawsuits, right? So it's good that we can remove some of that friction and get on with just innovation, because this innovation is going to happen with or without the U.S., man. And who doesn't want to go to Miami in January, right?
Miami in January is beautiful for everybody.
Yeah.
And necessarily, regulation has to follow innovation. It's not coming before the innovation, but the trend of other countries, which has been let's wait and watch and see. Protect the citizens from scams and whatever, but
Right.
let innovation thrive, I think, is going to be the method going forward, which is going to work best. And Miami, come on, January. People can let their hair down, enjoy, relax. This event is fantastic. We've done it for years, and people have the greatest time, the greatest experiences in the industry. Whether you're new, whether you're an old hat, there's things for everybody there.
Yeah, yeah, man. You know, and even when I did like a few conferences in Miami, and like I said, one of them we use that same venue that you're using, which is a great venue, great setup. It's at the James Knight Center, right? James L. Knight Center. Yeah. But everybody that was OG, like everybody, I would always get, you know, they were always comparing to what you did. I mean, it was legendary, and it just brought people together, and it built community innovation. And who's to say how much business and how many companies and how many great projects that have built great infrastructure for this industry were either started there or solidified there. And that's really where it is. I mean, there's no substitute for an in-person event. Virtual, you can get, yeah,
it's an anecdote I heard once, which was very inspirational for me. There's a web summit used to be in Dublin, and now it's in Portugal. But when Stripe was beginning, the Stripe founder found his co-founder at the urinals of that event.
Nice.
And they met while washing hands, and then, you know, Stripe is a household name. I've seen them advertised in Times Square. These things happen. It's serendipity. It's cool.
Yeah, 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 man. That's great. I never heard that story before, but yeah, definitely familiar with Stripe. I think most people don't even realize how many times they're using it when they check out, when they shop, and we actually use it. There's a merchant part on our FIO website, and Stripe is our credit provider. You know, so yeah, it's a big company, and so the next big thing could come out of this event. And I think,
if you think about crypto, Ethereum was also Ethereum was founded at our event. There was the Ethereum House in 2014 where everybody met each other for the first time.
Nice.
And went on to build, you know.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's great stuff. I love to hear that history. I get kind of goosebumps when you think about that, about where that was, where we've come from, all the way from your beginning days, where it was like that same narrative. Bitcoin was just used by criminals, right? And it's funny, criminals always are the innovators, right? They've got to stay a step ahead. Just like, I mean, you know, that's like saying, oh, I don't go watch NASCAR because it was started by criminals. You know, it was bootleggers, right? They were trying to outrun the law, and that's how NASCAR got its start.
But I would also say that, you know, there's a lot of stories about the early days, like Ethereum founding and Litecoin and all different things being founded back then. That hasn't changed. The industry hasn't stopped creating new projects. FIO's a 5-year-old project now.
Yeah.
That's also old in terms of like
Right.
crypto years. That's ancient.
Yeah.
But there's new ones coming every day, and bigger and new ones. And so these experiences is evergreen, to meet new people, build cool things, and learn more about it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's cool to hear the history, but yeah, there's so much more to come. People that think they're late to the game, it's man, we're just beginning. But I always did love like studying history of things, and one of the things that got me into crypto was studying just the history of technology adoption cycles, and that's when I realized, man, everything people are saying about Bitcoin is not true in terms of like the pessimists. And that's when I jumped in. I don't know if you've seen. So there's I'll give a great plug to a friend of mine, Jason Cassidy. Man, I don't know if you know Jason. He's been putting together a series on the history of crypto. I'll have to connect you guys.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah. So he's been doing episodes, working with Web3 TV to just to put out kind of a history, and he puts out these weekly videos that are really, really good. So have to make a connection there. But Mo, let's jump into. So you told us Wagmi Miami, what Wagmi means. So you're putting together a lineup. I know a lot of preparation goes into this event. So what can people expect from Wagmi Miami?
Yeah. First of all, it's going to be the best show. We've got just the best speakers from around the world. And we're lucky to have the trust from all these speakers because we've been doing this so long. And so there's a couple headlines of our events is One, you can't speak too long. The longest speech is 15 minutes. If somebody can't say it in
Nice.
15 minutes, it's not worth saying.
Right.
And also, if it's not interesting, you don't need to wait that long for the next speaker.
Right.
That's been we got that from TED. I think TED is 18 minutes or 17 minutes is the longest speech, but we said let's cut it to
Love it.
15. It's not a super technical conference. We don't really want people to show coding on the stage. We want them to teach lessons. It's also not a home shopping network.
Yeah.
So, Theo on stage, you guys should be talking about how you got to where you are now, what lessons you can teach people, what it's been like, what is the struggles, and give people value.
Yeah.
Tickets to conferences are not cheap. You either buy the ticket. Right now, our tickets are $800 and going up in price. This covers food, drink, audio-visual, production, events, side events, networking, whatever, bringing in speakers. But that's not cheap. Plus, you got to pay for a hotel and plane. And so, altogether per person, you might be paying like $1,500. Our goal is to give you way more than that in value. So, to give that value to people is our main goal, and I tell my team that all the time, is we need to be giving people $5,000 worth of value at this event.
Yeah.
Whether it's learning something to invest in, learning a partner, building a partner, raising money, building your network, whatever it is, that's what we do at our event. And that's what we've done very well in the past. And that's why we have good speakers and good sponsors. So what they could expect, the best speakers in the world. Right now we've got the CEOs of the biggest companies out there, blockchain.com, the CEO of Tether, head legal of Kraken and other exchanges. We've got from across the board. And that's helpful to as a cross-section of an industry, let people learn. Then it's Miami. So at night, people can let their hair down, relax. They can go to the boardwalk. They can go to the networking events that are happening. And during that week is something called Miami Blockchain Week, where everybody's producing side events. You must have seen this at events in Bangkok, in Dubai, everywhere they have side events.
Yeah.
This is also sanctioned by the mayor. He's named it Miami Blockchain Week. And Miami as a nightlife place is great. Number one in the world. But to see what companies come there and make side events is also great because it's a wide, broad industry, and you can pick which niche you want to be a part of. And that's cool too.
Yeah. I've seen anything from DeFi events, gaming events, a lot of other types of events. It's great to see. But I'm actually looking forward to see every time I see Yatsu speak, man. That's almost worth the price of a ticket right there just for that one speak. Animoca, he's really emerging as kind of a visionary in the space. Got to hear him and talk to him in person. Last week. Time flies.
He's super generous with his time. He's a great guy. The other thing is, side events are tricky. I don't know which events you've gone to and had a good experience with side events, but usually you have to go from one part of the city to the next, get in a taxi,
logistics,
jump around, and you kind of miss certain parts. So what we're trying for this event is to have, we've rented out not only the James L. Knight Center, but a bunch of locations nearby and within side rooms and meeting rooms, so that if you want to have a side event, you can just have it on location. So people aren't going to be struggling with taxis and getting around. They can just hang out with their communities within the event, which I think is going to be novel.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, that's great to know. I do know quite a few people that organize side events, so even myself hearing that, I'll make some connections to you because logistically it can be a nightmare. I always think about that, especially in Miami. Miami's great, but sometimes some of these side events, you look at it and you look at what it's going to take to get there, and you're like, oh no, I don't know if I can do that because then that puts me far away. But the spot you're in, very familiar with that spot, man. That's a great location. If you got places around, that is awesome to see. So definitely looking forward to that. Excuse me. So can you remind everybody again, what are the dates of Wagmi Miami?
So the days are January 21 to 24. Knowing the industry and how many people are coming there, it'll probably be from the 20th to the 25th for Blockchain Week, maybe even longer. Just because there's so much to do and so many people want to be in Miami. But the third week of January, 21 to 24 officially.
Absolutely. So if you're looking to go, make sure to grab your ticket now before prices go up. And also, look, you talked about lodging, right? Hotel to get there. There's a Hyatt attached to that event center, and then there's another, what is it, Days Suites or something like that, right behind it.
And there's
Yeah,
Epic and Kimpton.
yeah. So there's a lot of great hotels right around there. Man, I was really impressed. That Days Suite had recently been renovated, and it's it doesn't have a nice lobby like the Hyatt, but man, the rooms are just as nice. So the Hyatt sold out. You can go right there. But definitely get out there. Don't miss this. If you're in the U.S., I mean, it's important to get to these events. And I tell you, you don't have to be in the industry. My first event was kind of feeling around. Is this real, and do I really want to get into this industry? And connections I made at that first event in 2018 actually led to me working part-time in the space while I still had my corporate career, and then eventually going full-time, jumping into space with Theo, especially when one of our co-founders decided he was going to retire, step back. He's an older guy, been working for a long time, and so I was able to jump in there, and all of that came from attending events. Attending events, making connections, and virtual. Like I said, virtual. You can see talks virtually, but you can't really get that same. You can't get that same feeling. You can't make those same connections. It's very similar to. It's kind of concept like I always compare it to like baseball or basketball. Like those two sports I like, but I can't watch it on TV unless it's like the World Series or a championship game, right? Because you're not there. But when you're in person, there's just so much excitement. There's so much connections. It's just you feel more connected to that. And
The energy is there at an event, right? So many people in the industry are working on their computers and laptops and going to some, but it's a closed environment. When you go to an event and you're meeting 10,000 like-minded individuals, this is paradise. You're meeting people that think the same way, want to build cool stuff, are super nice, friendly, and we're trying to make this as easy as possible. Where you're in the hotels are nearby, the venue's close by, everything is around there, so you can maximize your time of just gaining from the industry. So newcomers, OGs, whatever, make it to Miami. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Absolutely. And look, if you're representing a project or a company and you go there, wear swag that tells people what it is. I always see people, and it's like I wouldn't know who they are unless because you have a little name badge that you may be able to get a peek at to see what company they are. But outside of that, it's hard to say. But I don't know how many times I've been wearing just a hat like this, and people come up, "Hey, what's FIO?" or "Hey, man, I've been aware of you guys for a long time. I've been using this," and some of those conversations turn into. It's funny. Some of them were like people that we FIO worked with in the past. And, as companies grow and evolve, some go away, some people leave and start other companies. And so it's like these new people that I say new, they're familiar with what we've done, but they're with a new company like, hey, we need to talk. We need to get together. Those connections are great. And if you're just looking to learn what, so I saw the article.
I want to stop for a second.
Yeah, sure.
What you're talking about is good conference behavior.
All right.
What you do to prepare for an event is also what you get out of it. If you got the swag on, and you got your business cards or Telegram QR codes, some mints, you've reached out on LinkedIn or email to a bunch of people that you've heard of coming, you've reached out to people on Twitter and Telegram saying, hey, I'm coming to you, are you coming to the event? All these things make your experience way better. It elevates the experience, and you can do that. You don't need to rely on the organizers to arrange it for you. You could also message your friends, where are we going to meet, what are we going to do, let's book a restaurant. And also for business relations, like who do you want to meet at the event? Which speakers would you like to contact? Make a list, get that list done, meet the people you want to do, and it's possible. So wear the swag, talk to people you know.
Yeah, be intentional about it. I love that concept, man. Yeah, Telegram is a must-have for if you're working.
And get that QR easily scannable, or get an NFT. Get a an NFT. What is it called?
NFC card.
NFT.
Yeah.
NFC.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and something as simple as saving your QR code as your screensaver on your phone, so you don't have to open your phone every time you want someone to connect with.
Now you have a new connection. And also, when you do connect with somebody, take a picture of you and that person for the Telegram group.
Absolutely.
Add them on Telegram, take a picture with them, and remember, because you're going to meet hundreds of people. That's a good way I found to remember.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah, a week later, you if you didn't take a picture, you're like, who was that? What do we talk about? Versus you got a picture, it all comes back. Yeah, definitely. So that's great for industry. What advice would you have someone? Okay, especially with the way the market's heating up. I get this every time, every cycle. The market starts to heat up. Friends and family that I've known that haven't really listened to me in the past, like, hey man, I want to get together. I want to learn more. So what for the crypto curious, right? Maybe they haven't even dropped a penny into Bitcoin or anything else like, yet, or even gone down the rabbit hole of what this industry really can do, but they're crypto curious. What would be your advice for them in terms of Wagmi Miami and just kind of what value would they get out of this?
For crypto in general, like crypto curious and newcomers, it's also a responsibility of people that have been in the industry to show them and educate them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should have a list, and maybe you should, if you don't have it already, well, what you do is tremendous in education, but to share a list of here's the things you can watch on YouTube. There's 2 minutes, 3-minute videos. If you want to go expert level, here's a 10-minute video from Andreas Antonopoulos about how this whole thing works.
Yeah.
Or here's a couple speeches that moved me. Maybe it doesn't move you, but these are some important things. And that's free.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to make money off of it, but you're going to become smarter and more educated about crypto than anybody else. So watch those videos. First, learn a little bit. Then if you want to take a position in buying crypto and exposure there, that's a big step. From learning about it to buying. And I would say, do not buy a lot at all.
Right. Yeah.
$5, $10, see how that works. Probably the minimums are going to be $20, $25, but get started with it. To buy some Bitcoin, Ethereum, play around with it. You'll probably lose some of it, but just to experience what that's like and get your first, it's your first transaction and seeing the speed in which a transaction can happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a gateway drug to becoming a crypto enthusiast.
Yeah.
When you can transfer somebody money in a second. When you can transfer somebody a picture, if you like NFTs, or it's a gateway drug to becoming more involved in the industry. And what I find works the best is no matter where you are in the non-crypto industry, there's always something that bridges the gap. If you're into making art, you can look at the world of NFTs. If you're in Ubers and transport or moving things around, you can look at how does blockchain affect that? How does blockchain work in the supply chain globally? How can you track things using IoT and the blockchain? What is important there? So people are able to, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're whatever industry you're in, no matter what, there is a blockchain application for that.
Absolutely.
And the blockchain industry needs your knowledge about how that works. You say you come from a corporate background.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've taken so much of that education and experience into working in crypto because you have that extra knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. There's so many transferable skills. Like, you don't have to be a developer engineer to dive into this space. We need marketing teams. We need business development teams. We need just general leadership. And you're right. And then on the flip side, you want to learn about this industry. I tell people, think about this. In the early 2000s, we called any company that had an online presence was an internet company. We don't use that term anymore. Everybody's online. So why would you call anybody an internet company unless they're actually like a service provider that you're getting service from? Now, same thing today. Crypto company, Web3 company, all these blockchain, all these different, tags we put on a company. Every company is going to have a use for this technology. And so every company is going to use it. That's where we're going to be in the future. There's going to be departments in all these companies that utilize it. I mean, you're already seeing the tests that have happened over the years with people like Starbucks and Nike and these other big names, big brands that have been already testing and playing around with this technology and seeing how they can use it. They haven't got it figured out completely yet, but they realize that there's a place that this is going, that they can leverage this technology to grow their business or to improve their user experience or improve revenues, right? Or cut costs. All those different things can be done with this.
I worked on Nike project 7, 8 years ago, and they were looking at it, but they realized early on, this is not going anywhere. And the argument that maybe this is a trend or this is a fad that's going somewhere is less and less of a argument as time goes on.
Right.
It isn't like, what, I want to look at crypto, but I'm not sure it's catching on.
Yeah.
If you see somebody with a flip phone, not the new Samsung flip phone, but if you see somebody with like a flip phone and pull out antenna, you say like, what are you waiting for? You're waiting to see if the iPhone catches on?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's here. It's caught on. The whole world is going to be using it, and the price reflects it, and the size of the industry connects it. You just said FIO is crossing 5 million users.
2 million.
2 million users.
2 million handles. Yeah.
That's a lot. And that's not slowing down. The graph of new users isn't going down or slowing, right?
Yeah.
Things are picking up.
Yeah, we're seeing that with the growth acceleration. I mean, our first year we did 100,000 handles. About a year ago was when we hit 1 million. Year and a few months we hit 1 million handles, and a little over a year later we're hitting 2 million handles. Just because users are coming into the space, and that's just a reflection of people want to come, people want to get in, they want to learn about this technology. And I can tell you part of the talk I'm gonna give at Wagmi, about FIO's history, what we learned, those lessons, but also we've got to put the user experience front and center. You can have all this great tech in the world, unless you improve that user experience, we're not going to get there. iPhone doesn't have as many users as they do because they're the best phone in the world. They're really not, right? But what did they do? They simplified that user experience. My 73-year-old dad is using an iPhone because it's simple, it's easy, he can send an email, do all those things. When we hide some of those complexities from the user, like they did through the internet adoption, we're going to get that mass user adoption, because there's people that want to jump in and they're scared. Or if you jump in and your first experience is you send Bitcoin to the wrong address and it's gone forever, that's not a good first experience. So unless you're really bought in on this technology, you're like, crap, I never had that problem with PayPal or Venmo. I'm going back to back to the centralized systems, and that's not what we want.
100%. Yeah. And there will be more growing pains, but the speed of adoption, the amount of people, and the user front and center feels a great example of that, and you should talk about that. That would be, I guess, a small criticism, or a small pain point of the industry, is that needs to get better globally, and that will get better, and it's just there's a time delay, because for many companies, hiring a copywriter and a designer and a UI UX person is year 2, year 3, when it should be pre-seed.
Yeah. It's just kind of I always add that little challenge to the industry. It's like, go out, find people that have never used it before, and get them to use. If you have a product, a consumer-facing product, have them use it and get feedback. Not just say, "Oh, we launched this, and all these people that were already in crypto are using it." Get some feedback from people that don't really understand it. Hey, where's your friction? And you can make a better product. Awesome, Mo. So, man, it's been great talking. Just about time to wrap up. You mentioned something about some tickets, right? Did you want to mention that here?
Do a giveaway to your community for sure. Let's give 10 tickets to the community. I'll send you some details. You can post that alongside a link to this.
Yeah, well, pay attention to FIO's socials. We're across all socials, and we're going to post. We're going to tag Wagmi Miami. Listen to this podcast. We're going and post something where you're going to tag FIO, tag Wagmi Miami, and we're going to pick some winners from there to get those tickets to the Miami conference, to Wagmi Miami.
We should include something where, if you made it this far into the episode, just tag FIO and the thing, and say, Miami 2025 in the comments, and
there you go. Yeah. So you have to listen to it. So you made it this far. Miami 2025, you said?
Wagmi Miami 2025.
Wagmi Miami 2025. So you're not going to see that on a post. You're going to have to get it from listening. So make sure to share. You'll see more details about what to share, but we'll definitely put out a post to tell everybody when this episode's live that there's a hidden nugget in there for free tickets, and you got to find it. So you got to listen to the end. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mo, man, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Miami towards the end of January for Wagmi Miami. Any final words before we part, man?
No, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in Miami. This has been great.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks again, Mo. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.